when you're in a group like that, it's electric. If someone's new, they're like, what are all these people interested? What is going on here?
Why are they all so happy and excited? And
what is this magic, weird internet money?
Yeah.
Like cult members or something like that?
Yeah, when I was a closeted, like, pretty much maxi for like a couple of years, and I say closeted because I never sought out one Bitcoin meetup or anybody like-minded. And just so my first time I did that was when I drove through here from California and I timed it perfectly on purpose with the first Bitcoin conference. And then just being out there surfing, I finally got to meet some Bitcoiners. I was kind of nervous. But then they gave me a free tomahawk. I was like, oh, wow, that's I listened to this guy for podcasts for years. And I could just go walk up to him and talk to him and ask him my questions. It's like, wait, what? Such a cool community. So if you're out there and you haven't sought out like-minded people, send it. It's a great decision. Changed my life.
we drug Jon away from the Swan House there on the beach. And I'm sorry we had to pull you away from the sunset, being the studio here. Actually, for those of you Swan, he has been working his butt off. This is a horrible job. You guys need to give him a raise. It's a very challenging environment to be working in. And so. Yeah,
man, it's a sacrifice, but for you, I'm happy to depart the confines of the Swan House.
You've been a great host, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
And Paul from Bitcoin Jungle, and you guys just met like a month or two ago, right?
We share a couple of common bonds, though, so it kind of just like you look at him like, oh, I know this guy.
Right. Yeah.
So did you know each other from Twitter before Pacific Bitcoin connected in person, or?
I remember reading your bio and you're like, I'm trying to connect all the surfers or something like that in Bitcoin. There's your pinned tweet, and I'm like, okay, well, that's something I like to do. I like Bitcoin, I like surfers.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody together and have fun.
Yeah, that was a great thread. I just posted one day. I'm like, I want to know like who's a Bitcoiner and who's really into surfing. Just so for future reference, so I can go through. If I'm ever in any part of the world, I can just be like, hit all these people up. Like, hey, what are you doing? There's waves here. Let's go surf. Maybe I can crash on your couch or something.
That's great. That's really why we go to these events, right? To pick up more couches to sleep on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe that's my intention, but
as long as you get board in there on a couch, you're pretty much good.
It'll work.
So now I got people asking me, hey, where's the Swan House? Where's the Swan House? I'm like,
right.
How do people know about this already? It just started. So you guys have only been doing it for a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah. This is, it's a trial run. We've got a beautiful property that is just west of the main beach here in Zonte. And it's been an amazing experience to experiment, to be building community, both with people like Paul, who are experienced Bitcoiners, some clients coming through, some employees as well of Swan.
Well, I know I've been over there 2 or 3 times already to pick up people for podcasts. So I'm like, how many rooms do they have there? There's like everybody's staying.
No, the funny thing is there's only 3 rooms and there's like 3 beds per room. So we're really getting cozy at the Swan House. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I have not heard any complaints. But I'm pretty sure it's going to pop up now on Google Maps, the Swan House there. People are going to, when you guys leave, people are going to be disappointed when they...
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. We're coming up on a bull market.
Bull market. It's time for you guys to purchase something down here.
I think so. I'm all for it, man. This is, like I said, like before while we were talking, to me, Zonte is just a beautiful nexus of Bitcoin. Two of my greatest passions, Bitcoin and surfing, but also like they seem to have just a common bond, like the connection to nature, proof of work that's involved in it, and there's no better place in my mind, to have a first permanent Swan House. But that's my opinion. These are my own opinions, not necessarily Swan's. So,
all right, Corey, you hear that?
Right.
You have to. He's made a commitment. He's put an offer on a place down here. So send Bitcoin. Well, I think for me too. I mean, that was from the beginning. Bitcoin Beach is obviously Bitcoin and surfing been together. The activities we do in the community have always revolved around surfing. We feel like it's just a great family-friendly way to get people out in the sun, exercising, building community together. So you add the Bitcoin component into it, and it does just seem natural. There's I've had a lot of people that are not surfers ask me, they're like, what is it with Bitcoin and surfing? Like, it seems like there's a lot of overlap there.
right, yeah. I have some like
John could talk for
cosmic
hours
theories
about
about
Okay, what are your cosmic theories?
Oh, well, on the car ride back from San Salvador, we were kind of postulating that maybe all Bitcoiners are potentially Atlantean soul families. So if you want to like dive straight into it, so we're like a seafaring, race who have been drawn together through Bitcoin. But that's a little woo woo for
a little less.
I like it.
I dig it. Less cosmic.
But,
it's like
what's the
your
less cosmic
speech
version?
at adopting Bitcoin. For some reason, I've never made this like little connection in my brain, but surf culture was once niche, and now like everywhere around the world, like they're repping California. They trying to be like surfers. Surfer is cool, and somehow I think we got to make the Bitcoin brand that similar. And just like how all around the world, I only travel for waves, so I ended up driving through here. But Bitcoin was like, oh, perfect. But just as surfers chase waves, I think Bitcoiners will chase freedom and go to places that are going to be more free.
Yeah.
And we see that in Costa Rica where I am now, like Bitcoiners are coming down. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's happening. And here's a couple steps ahead.
100%. You look at the amount of development that has happened around the world based on surfing, like that has put, Bali, Indonesia, places that were like nobody went to before. Lots of places in isolated places in Mexico. Mm-hmm.
Nicaragua.
It doesn't matter how challenging the environment is. If the waves are good, surfers will go there. And so you see,
absolutely.
First it's like, people renting them a little place to pitch a tent, and then they build a little hostel, and they keep, and then you go 20 years later, there's luxury resorts there that most of surfers can't afford to stay in. But it's it's all the people that come just because they want to be around the surfing.
Yeah.
Right.
And so El Salvador has followed that. Like they saw that potential with the surf. And early on, we were pitching to them, hey, you can have the same thing with Bitcoin. And it's a different crowd. And a lot of them will come here to spend Bitcoin. Like, what better tourists than ones that's motivated to come to like
money.
The activity that they're looking forward to is spending money at your place, and the world's best money. So it's I think there are a lot of similarities as far as the development potential that it brings.
And the waves here are just absolutely world class.
Don't tell people.
Oh yeah. Cut.
Yeah. Waves here are horrible.
Not that great. Like, for especially not El Zonte.
Why would WSL have a contest here? I don't know.
The waves are horrible. Out, but go to Costa Rica.
No. The waves are ass there.
Right. Dominican especially.
That's like that's seriously our like conundrum. Like, come to Bitcoin Jungle. It's the best. I'm like, we got to
want to share the lineup.
That's what my son. He's like, Dad, you ruined this place. Like, we used to get.
Your son was the reason I came. I remember El Zonte Gram, right?
Yeah.
And I remember a few of his posts, like in the beginning days, like, what is going on down there? Oh, waves, Bitcoin. Like, yeah. And then I ended up driving down.
Well, I'll tell him then that he was the one.
Yeah, he was the one. It's hilarious.
Right.
He's like, we used to be able to get out there by ourselves. Now it's all packed.
Yeah. Such trade-offs.
The trade-offs, obviously, and selfishly, I prefer it to be empty. But as far as the development and the opportunity and everything that's come in, that's much more important than me getting a couple more waves. So,
what do you think's the answer to that, though? Planting fake reef?
Yeah, is that
a thing? Like, imagine all the closed-out beaches in the world. Like, if you could just throw a fake reef on there, and then everybody could surf and.
Right. Right.
Anyways, that's
There's
my
a lot
theory.
of people that have designed different ones, but I don't think anybody's made one that actually worked. I saw this
Right.
one. I don't know if it would actually work, but it was innovative. It was actually like a piece of cloth that was tethered to the floor, and you put air underneath it.
Oh,
So it just like
What a
forms
dream.
this like temporary reef, but then when there's a big storm or something, you
Okay.
can just, take it down. And so it could come and go. I don't know if anybody's actually implemented it, but yeah, there's, especially in El Salvador, there's a ton of, it just had a little bit
Yeah,
of
a little more
reef or
structure.
something.
Yeah.
Costa Rica as well.
But we were trying to get somebody to build a wave park here.
No way.
Because the weather's so nice that you could literally 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, you could have surfers surfing on it. Where the one like Kelly Slater's and
I got to surf it.
did you?
One of the best days of my life, man.
Really?
Unbelievable. Kelly's a Bitcoiner. You know that.
I have heard that.
Talked to
I've
Jack
heard that.
Mahler's on a live.
Yeah.
I was looking at my strike thing the other day, and from a couple years ago, I saw like my old history of payments, and it was like Mama Rosa and Kelly Slater. I was like, all right, we got to get,
So how was it surfing?
It was, well, first of all, it's like,
So when did you go? Because I had an opportunity to go, but it was like the water was going to be like 55 degrees
That
because it
was
was
summer.
like in November or December, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm too fat and out of shape to put a wetsuit on, and
it's
especially
freezing.
how expensive it was. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill myself if I fall on one of those waves.
That's
So.
the thing, man. You're just like, so I told myself, first wave, I am just going to pump and cruise down the line and make the whole thing, just play it out. But no, I got up, I was like, barrel. It's a pretty weird feeling on that wave. And I just was like, it was so ugly. It was like kook stance just right over the falls. It was horrible. I got to start like 6 waves only. And then the rest of the time you're in the lineup just praying
That
people
somebody else
fall.
falls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Right.
praying. It was sick. We had like Raymana on the ski, who's just like this legend from Chopu, just like yelling at you like, get now, go, like trying to help you through like the wave and everything. But it was unbelievable. I can't wait to go back.
My one buddy who had, because you have to rent out the whole place,
I know.
and so,
Not
but
cheap.
he's like, if you organize it, then you can strategically put the guys that aren't very good when you're at the secondary
Genius.
peaks.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
Yeah,
He's like, there's this whole strategy to it.
exactly.
Oh, I'm
We should
jealous.
make our Slater wave pool list. I know exactly who I'd bring now.
Good way to orange pill people. Bring them to.
I mean,
he
Swan
brings-
Swan needs
Swan.
to.
we
Yeah,
go.
Swan Salon, Kelly Slater's wave pool.
Yes.
Corey.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
I mean, there's no.
And I better get an invite.
The two of us.
Yeah. Yes.
Andy too.
Wow, that'd be sick.
It would. Yeah.
That'd send a good.
Maybe
signal.
lined up with Pacific. Where is the
It's up
wave
north,
pool?
pretty
It's
far.
Way up north.
Lemoore, California,
Okay.
wherever
But it's
that is.
still like driving distance from, we could drive from Pacific Bitcoin. Yeah.
Oh,
Do a
definitely.
day trip.
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got the call last minute that I could go for free. And
For free.
I
You gotta
dropped
go for free.
Absolutely
Oh my
everything. And went.
Right.
This was like Donovan Frankenreiter too, and some like legends. It was rad.
Yeah,
Very
'cause
it's
it's-
intimidating
it's
though.
like-
I'm just an average surfer. Like,
I think it's like $100,000 for the
I
day.
think it's something like that.
I mean,
Really?
it's, and you can
Yeah,
get,
you should get
how
into
many,
the
how many
wave pool
people are out
business.
there? 20, 24 slots or 12 slots? Or,
I forget, but so
Yeah.
well worth it.
but I was like, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I'm going to go when it's warm.
Yeah.
Not when I got to wear a wetsuit.
So,
But if they had it in El Salvador, I mean, literally, you could have year-round perfect weather.
cranking them
So,
out.
Yeah.
Kelly, time to build a wave park down here in El Salvador.
I think the challenge with that is they need a lot of flat land, right?
Yeah,
So
but there is a lot of
there's-
flat land over by
Yeah.
like where the airport
Oh,
is.
yeah,
all
that's
that
right.
part of the country is very flat. I mean, there's a lot of areas that would be perfect, and people fly in like the one in California. People fly in from all over the world for
Yes.
that one. It's not.
Right.
And El Salvador is kind of central to everything, so
Mm-hmm.
it would be perfect location. So,
Have you seen the Surf Lakes design? It's
which one is that one?
an Australian company.
Is that the plunger one?
The big
Yeah,
plunger
yeah.
one. That one looks cool too.
That,
So
and
it's-
I think the
has,
benefit
like,
of that,
4
you have
different
more,
bricks.
you have more waves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be happy with any of them. So, we can have the Bitcoin Beach Wave Park here. So,
well, let's keep ushering in hyper Bitcoinization. I'm
Yeah.
sure that people's citadels will be including wave pools. I know of one guy already doing that, but so bullish.
Yeah, when Bitcoin hits 10 million, I think we.
Speaking of citadels, you have a beautiful studio here in home.
This is all Andy's creation. He's the
cool.
mastermind behind that. So yeah, you guys just tell Corey you guys got to spend more time down here. I mean, you got a studio you can use.
Right.
You know, he just has to build a wave park. That's all we're
Yeah,
require.
There's basically one out there. Is that
what?
Why did you come to Zonte in the beginning? I don't know if I've
yeah, on a surf trip.
on a surf trip.
Yeah, came down here for a week with a buddy. Actually, we surfed the whole time when we were here in Sunzal, and then came back, and I was like, all right, I got to buy a place here. So we came back, and
What year is this?
This was 2004,
Okay.
and we looked at a couple properties in Sunzal, but the lady was helping us. She had a house here in El Zonte, so she showed us the house actually that I live in now, and I was like, all right, we'll make an offer, and then they accepted it, and we're like, this is pre-Bitcoin, so it was a problem of how do you get the money down here. So that was a crazy. Me and a buddy went in on the place, and we wound up. We're like, okay, well, how do we move the money down? And the lady's like, well, I've had somebody before just like wire it to me, to my personal account, and then I'll like. That sounds a little sketchy, but I mean,
Then I'll
she's
sign the title.
yeah. But we'd been to her house. We're like, all right, we'll just we knew it was a risk, but we said it. We showed up. We're like, hopefully she's there. She's not on a vacation in the Caribbean with our money. But it all went through. But now with Bitcoin, it's so much easier, especially if you find somebody that's willing to accept Bitcoin on the buyer side. And there's there's companies now too that will serve as intermediaries, and it makes it so much easier. It's amazing all the things Bitcoin solves.
Yeah.
So does the Swan do that? The Swan, I think that's another thing Swan could do is come down here and be liquidity provider for real estate purchases.
That's a great idea. There's all kinds of what I've loved about being here is just exploring and learning about how open the country is to business. Like they want, they're encouraging growth, they're encouraging companies to come in, and there's all kinds of opportunities. And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to bringing back to LA, talking to the leadership about, for sure.
It's just such a positive feeling here. Like you feel like you could do anything, and in the U.S. it's like everything's like a reason you can't do it. It's
exactly.
But here it's like, wow, the sky's the limit.
Right.
Did you feel like that in 2004?
I did to some extent. I mean, I felt like that as far as you didn't have all the regulation and rules. My kids could still ride in the back of the pickup as we went around.
Little things, right?
As we were building things, you didn't, if you kind of dream it up, you could build it. You didn't have to worry about, crazy permitting process.
Yeah.
So, but at that time, you didn't have the optimism and the excitement in the population.
Yeah.
They were dealing with, extreme poverty, having the highest murder rate in the world.
How did you deal with that fact?
For me, I'm just not a very fearful person. It just doesn't. I don't know. I probably not healthy. I should probably be more fearful than I am.
I'm exactly the same way.
Yeah.
I'm just always one of those people that, even when it came to like surfing or snowboarding, anything like that, I had like very little skill, but also no fear. So you put those things together, and I could do okay.
That'll do.
Right.
Yeah. So I think the people here were just, even then when things were bad, the people were just so warm and friendly. I mean, you guys have experienced that now. There's just there's just a openness. You feel like they'll help you out if you have a problem. I mean, if I get a flat tire or something, like, a bunch of people stop to try to help. In the U.S., awesome. You're on your own. So it was just it was a very different feel. It was also, and just to be completely like open, as a foreigner, you didn't face the same challenges as the locals did. There was kind of this sense that you were off limits to the gangs. They just didn't want Americans had a reputation of fighting back more and like causing more problems. And then also, if something did happen to a foreigner, the repercussions from the army and the police would be much stiffer. So in general, they kind of left foreigners alone. So it was definitely safer for us than it was for the local population.
Right. Interesting. I was talking to Matt, who owns the property down next to where we hosted the party.
Okay,
yeah.
That's a beautiful
Mateo.
property.
Yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous. Shout out to Mateo, who had the house, and it was just finished. Like, that was the first activity that they did.
I think they were
with it.
pushing to have that ready.
Yeah, I was like a little concerned. I was here a month ahead of time and kind of visiting the property. I'm like, interesting. We're going to do it here, huh? They seem to be, working, but
They pulled it
not
off.
the fastest.
They pulled it together.
They pulled it together. It was beautiful. But he was saying that, telling us stories of like coming out of the bar super late at night, missing the bus home, and trying to just like stagger his way back from San Salvador back to El Zonte, and the locals super late at night. They all just were laughing at him. They're like, "What is this gringo doing here?"
Gringo
But
perdido.
he never felt like that much in danger in that sense.
And you speak perfect Spanish by now, yeah?
No, not perfect, for sure.
But you do speak Spanish?
I speak perfect Spanish for somebody who learned in their 40s. So, my kids grew up here, so their Spanish is fluent. They always make fun of me when I speak. But anything I need to convey.
Where's El Zonte Gram?
El Zonte Grom's in school right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, he goes to school in San Salvador. So he has to get up every day at 4:30 a.m.
Wow.
So he can leave by 5:30 to get to school.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So
Wow, what a hustle.
It's a little bit of a hike for him there. But yeah, my kids speak perfect Spanish. In fact, they speak Salvadoran Spanish because a couple years ago we were traveling somewhere and my daughter was talking to somebody and they're like, "You sound like you're from El Salvador," but obviously she didn't look like she's from El Salvador. She's like, "Yeah, I am from."
Yeah.
So it's funny they even have the local accent and lingo.
Yeah.
With it.
How do you say dude here?
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's like in Costa Rica, it's
No.
my, Mexico, way.
Way, yeah, I know Mexico because I have a lot of Mexican guys that work for me, so I'm thinking way, but they don't say that here. It's I don't know.
What about sweet?
Sweet
Chivo.
Chivo, yeah.
Unlike,
Although that's been because of the Chivo
Yeah,
wallet, that's been ruined a little bit.
bastardized.
So,
yikes.
but yeah,
Yikes.
that historically that was the slang. I remember when they first announced the Chivo wallet, everybody's like, "Wait, what? So it's the goat wallet? What's the?" Chivo means goat, like
Okay.
literally. And but it was slang for like cool, and so it was funny when they were like, "Okay, well they're doing a goat wallet."
All right. So,
Bitcoin's the goat.
Yeah,
true. In Costa Rica, the guy who started Bitcoin Jungle, Lee, he's like this perfect combination of technical, speaks Spanish, nice. He's like
super laid back
And
just
super laid back?
super mellow.
Yeah. And it's like, I almost feel like this person, this human behind the Bitcoin is just really what made it take off down there. What do you think it was about you that helped, maybe being here since 2004?
I think really it was the local team. I mean, it was just having the team, Jorge and Roman and the people from the beginning, just them having the trust in the community. And I think too that people knew that we wanted the community to be successful. We wanted the youth to stay out of the gangs. We wanted for people to, really reach their potential. So I think because of that, when we introduced Bitcoin, it was like, okay, they see this as a helpful tool. Where if we would have just came in and like, hey, use Bitcoin, it'd been like, who are these scammers and what are they trying to get out of us?
Yeah.
And so I think that was... And the other thing that helped us was I'm just too stupid to know that it wouldn't work because, that's what all the if I would have been going to a bunch of Bitcoin conferences before, I would have been talked out of it.
Right.
Lightning will
actually-
never scale.
Actually, when I started going to, because I was like, we were already committed, and then I started going to Bitcoin conferences, and everybody's like, dude, you're an idiot. Nobody's ever going to use Bitcoin to pay for their coffee. And it's never going to work. And we're just like, oh, well, we're committed now. So we just pushed through, and fortunately Lightning at that time, originally we were doing everything on chain, and then fees started to go up. And so we switched to Lightning, and everybody's like, no, Lightning's not ready. It's 18 months out. It doesn't work. I'm like, well, I don't know. It's working. Like, maybe I'm just too stupid, but we're doing it, and the stores are accepting it. And, you know, they're cashing out when they need to at the ATM. And so I think sometimes if you listen too much to the experts, you'll never actually do anything. So
I could see that.
A little naivety sometimes helps.
Yeah, maybe. I love when people come to visit me, I just use Bitcoin like it's nothing. It just blows their mind, seeing it like that and trading it for coffee. And Twitter always loves that too. That meme is like ingrained in us, like you'll never do that for coffee. But also I'm wondering, you know, because the rabbit hole is deep, but just simply accepting Bitcoin and using it as money, that's like almost more of a learning process, or just like a different, because like at the market in Costa Rica, maybe they don't all learn why Bitcoin, but just the first touch point of people coming and wanting to spend it and trading it. And I don't know, I feel like that's a really big education right there. And I kind of wonder, as Bitcoin scales, like how much will we even know?
Well, I think it's important. I think that is important for that to be somebody's first touch point, or one of their first touch points. Because if you try to explain everything to them beforehand, they psych themselves out. Like, oh, this is too complicated.
Right.
But if you just do a transaction with them, they're like, oh, that's easy. Mm-hmm. And then they become interested in, okay, wait, how does this actually work? And why is there value to it? And how is that? Why does the price go up and down? So really, it's getting some Bitcoin in people's hands and having them do a few transactions, and then letting them be the one that like comes to you rather than you trying to be like, hey, you need to listen to this, you need to do this. And so
that's a huge thing that's fascinating to me about wondering about the question of Bitcoin adoption, right? We just had the Adopting Bitcoin conference. Swan's mission is to create 10 million new Bitcoiners in the US, right? So wondering like what is the best way to advance Bitcoin adoption. And most of what you see going on in Bitcoin Twitter and a lot of different projects and apps are like proper design, user interface, and everything like that, and then proper information, like getting all the logic right, having podcasts where they're diving deep into the tech layers.
But most people are never going to be interested in that stuff.
Exactly.
Most people, they're like my wife. She's like, I'm not a Bitcoiner. I'm like, you've made literally hundreds of Bitcoin transactions.
Right.
She's like, yeah, but I don't really care about that stuff. I'm like, yeah, but you have actually used Bitcoin more than most people that go to all the conferences. A lot of them don't ever actually use it. Like, you're actually using it. You understand the technical challenges, and why it actually winds up being the easiest way. She doesn't do it because it's ideological. She does it because it's just easiest. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what we're going to see more of.
Yeah.
Convenience is everything. And in Costa Rica, you saw that we made like a local off-ramp and on-ramp.
Yeah.
And that's huge now because it's like, I'll just tell a quick story because I thought it was cool. I needed a board to rent at the beach. And in Costa Rica, I was like, yo, and we're friends. I'll pay you in Bitcoin. Just download this app, make a username. Okay, boom, paid him. And then his friend, and then I showed him how to cash out, right? In case he wanted to. And then that day, his friend went and orange pilled this lobster restaurant without like anything. It was amazing. Just because they do have the option now to change it between fiat and Bitcoin, which is pretty huge. Because everybody in Costa Rica has a phone number that's linked to their bank accounts. And that also means for us Bitcoiners that we can just download Bitcoin Jungle on whatever SIM card and then do just like I've bought gas with Bitcoin, any taxi driver, and you can always show them how it works too. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, we need an army down there too.
Yeah. No, and that's I'll get in, not arguments, but discussions with people, because there's people that say, like, we shouldn't have on-ramp, those type of off-ramps. We should keep, it should be a closed system to really be a circular Bitcoin economy. And I agree in the long run, but what we found in the short run, in order to get people interested in accepting Bitcoin, they have to know that they can get out, because in their mind, fiat is still real money.
Yeah.
So they have to be able to convert to real money. But then over time, they start realizing, wait, the fiat's not real money. The Bitcoin's real money.
Yes.
And so it is, but if they didn't have those off-ramp options, they wouldn't have been willing to accept it to begin with. So
Exactly.
I think that's one thing I always stress with Bitcoiners, like, no, it's important there to be ATMs. It's important to be banking rails. All these things are important, because otherwise, if they do accept it, the first chance they get, they're going to sell it. But if they know, hey, I can sell it tomorrow, I can sell it the next day, then they're like, no, wait, it's like over time it's going up in value versus the dollar. And so, I'll hang in there.
Have you seen changes in individuals?
That was the first, most eye-opening thing for us as we were doing programs with the youth early days. And saving had never been like a cultural thing here. It was, and you talk to people about the importance of deferred gratification, saving, accumulating capital, start a business, and the response was always like, we just don't make enough money. There's, it's impossible to save here. And that seemed reasonable. I mean, the salaries are very low, and the cost of living is not that much, lower than the U.S. for a lot of food items and basic things like that. Most of that stuff's like international market. And so I thought, maybe that's the case. But we saw when we started paying them in Bitcoin, it switched something in their mind, because they're like, I think Bitcoin's going up, to this level in the next year. So if I spend it now, if I wait, I can buy 2 of these in the future, or 3. And so they start, that takes them down the rabbit hole of start wondering, what is actually money? And they start thinking about those things. And it really, they say, it's kind of a cliche, but they say, you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. But it's true. We've seen it happen here. And so that's what makes me so excited about the Bitcoin project, the Bitcoin Beach, and what we're doing is seeing the way that it impacts lives. And that's why we spend so much time now focusing on all these other circular economies around the world, because it's just so exciting to see people come out of poverty and real economic development happen. I mean, there's been, for decades, for centuries, there's been groups trying to do economic development around the world. And
well, you were a missionary, or you still are?
Yeah. We came down here working with different missionaries. And so, from the beginning, that was very critical to what we were doing. But I saw such a mixed impact of dependency created in certain communities and weird distortion of in unhealthy ways of the economic realities. And so I was always kind of wrestling, hey, we feel called to help these people in dire circumstances, but we need to make sure we're actually benefiting them long term. And so when we switched to using Bitcoin, it just kind of changed all of that incentive structure. And we saw for the first time them having this sense of, well, hey, I can do this, and I can start a business, and I can save for the first time. And so that's what's so exciting, is to see, Bitcoin being adopted around the world, and these places that all these different aid groups have, poured into and haven't really changed. You look at a place like Haiti, it has the highest.
Dumping so much money into it. Right.
I think it has the highest aid per capita in the world, and it's one of the poorest countries, because it's just not bringing change. So I'm very bullish on the long-term impact of economic development using Bitcoin.
Because of the way it changes the brain at the very
Because that is the most crucial thing. It's not just, people aren't poor because of lack of resources usually. It's the education, it's the mindset, it's the way they view the world. And so when you give people the feeling wow, I can actually do this, and they put themselves out there, they start deferring gratification and saving, it has this ripple effect, which you guys see in El Salvador. I mean, you see all the booming building everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Economy that's roaring as the rest of the world's like kind of teetering on recession. Things are booming here. I mean, it's just a different feel. It's palatable. You can feel like the excitement in the air.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so refreshing to be in an environment where you have that like possibility, that where you can think about an idea of some, like we were saying earlier, something to do.
Yeah.
Whether it's business and actually see a legitimate path where you can make it happen right away. Whereas there's this lingering sense in the West where you just have this like appearance of cultural decay and a lot of homelessness rampant in so many of the cities. But obviously you have enclaves of growth and everything.
But I think the overall sense of what's possible, that's the thing that I think is different here. Because I mean, we see people, coming from Europe, from Australia, and, you talk to them, they're like, I just don't feel like there's like any future. And you're like, well, you're coming from Spain or Italy. Those are like developed countries. Do you think there'd be more opportunity there? They're like, no, it just feels like there's way more opportunity here in El Salvador.
Right.
And a sense of like anything's possible. So it's almost like this is like the new West that everybody's kind of rushing to. So it's fun. It's a fun place to be in the middle of.
That's for sure.
The waves help too.
Yeah, the waves don't hurt.
Just like,
and I like it hot.
right.
So I'm curious for you, Paul, what you see as kind of similar to Costa Rica and what things are different. I've actually never been to Costa Rica.
Really?
I'm going to speak at the Freedom Festival in January. So
yeah, January 18th through 20th. It's going to be an interesting festival.
yeah,
Definitely
so
a
if
lot
you guys are
different
out
than
there,
outdoors.
make sure you get your tickets to the Freedom
Yes.
Festival.
100%.
Well, I'll just tell one story that is kind of why I brought up the question about changing people's. I actually caught a little glance of this Bitcoin balance on, at the market, and I was like, wow, they're stacking. And you just wonder, like, if they would have done that with fiat. And the answer is probably no. So it's fascinating to see that happen. And I know a restaurant has stacked a whole coin, and which is wild. But in terms of Bitcoin Jungle, it is more focused on Bitcoin tourism at first. But now with this local off ramp, I'm hoping that to plant more seeds within like the locals and, instead of just like these restaurants and whatnot. And
That has to have helped with local adoption. Just having
100%.
that.
Just haven't been back for I think it pretty much, we just started that like maybe a month when I was there. I was just telling everybody, but then I took off.
I saw Paul, not Paul. Why am I blanking? Lee.
Yeah.
I saw Lee at there was a thing that HRF did in Nashville.
That's right.
So Lee was telling us about this. I was like, that is amazing.
It's
How
so
were you able
badass.
to pull that off? And how?
We're not making any money on it or anything.
Yeah, but I mean, just the fact that they were able to that the banking system hasn't locked them out, that the government hasn't locked them out, that they've made it work. I was just like, wow, this is amazing.
It's so cool.
And then talking to Francis about it, and he said the same thing. Like, yeah, we're losing money on every transaction, but it's increasing Bitcoin awareness and adoption.
Exactly. So yeah, come down and plug our circular economy. Circular. It's becoming more circular by the day.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. Like everybody lives there because there's Bitcoin propaganda, and it's just questions and little touch points that just help and send the signal to everybody that this is possible, that this is a thing, and hopefully it will be more of a thing around the world.
Yeah. No, when you you did the air quotes of Bitcoin circular economy, because you do get criticisms on that, like, well, it's not truly circular because it's leaving at some point, and that's true, but it's a process. Like at every stage, you're like closing the loop a little bit more.
Yeah, and yes, I ask a lot of people like, yo, what do you guys do with this? It's like, well, sometimes I use it. Mostly they say they use it to save, and then sometimes they'll go buy stuff with it.
Yeah.
Say. That's awesome. That's a little circle, a little closing of a loop
and
right there.
And then when we get into the next bull market, their employees are going to start requesting, more of them will request to be paid in Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you saw the announcement that Galloway made, but the second biggest distributor, I think, in Central America, just they're actually incentivizing all of their stores to pay in Bitcoin, giving them a 5% discount if they pay in Bitcoin, which is huge.
I actually didn't catch that last part.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
So the company itself, not Galloway, the company itself is the one giving the discount, because they said for them it solves this huge logistical problem, because
of course.
all these mom and pop stores, most of them don't have bank accounts, so they all paid the drivers in cash. So then you have the drivers, the accounting of that, the security issues, all the different things. They're able to just bypass that. And plus, I'm sure the drivers a lot of times were like waiting, and I got to get change for the people, and it slows them down.
Convenience is going to help
yeah.
this happen big time.
So now that the stores are going to be like, no, please pay me in Bitcoin, because I get a 5% discount if I pay my bill in Bitcoin. So you're going to see, I think long term, this is going to be huge for actually making it genuine circular economy.
Yeah. Don't you think that places, this is a big idea, but couldn't companies like Walmart or in the future, or Amazon even, offer a discount for Lightning because it's final?
It's
in a way,
it's final. They say, it's final, and the fees they save from the credit card companies, it's a no-brainer. It's coming. It's just a matter, these things take.
It just seems so obvious.
I think for them, there needs to be enough people. It's kind of a chicken and the egg type thing. There needs to be enough people wanting to use that method to make it worthwhile for them to add another. But longer term, I would not want to be Visa or MasterCard, because they are going to be pushed out of the picture. It's just
There's also the fact that most of these corporations are not necessarily running based on as a normal profitable company off of P&L. They're usually making money off of debt creation. That's the way that our fiat system works, right? And the finance guys can break all that down, but that's kind of what we're after, kind of getting that dragon at the heart with Bitcoin. Right?
But I think longer term, just because it just works so much better, that is going to be what pushes companies to adopt the Bitcoin standard. It's not going to be an ideological thing. It's not going to be because they're freedom loving. It's going to be this just makes more sense and it works better. And the credit card companies have basically been extorting us for all this time, and so
for sure.
They're just really rent seekers in that system, and so they'll get rid of that, and it'll allow them to bring prices down, and everybody benefits. So it'll see a societal benefit from that. Because I know as a business owner in the U.S., you have to take credit cards because that's people, but we wind up paying probably about 4%. So I think last year we paid $40,000 or $50,000 in credit card fees. I have to raise my prices on food items for everybody. So those are always passed on to the customer. So really, the credit card companies are just rent seekers that everybody's paying for. So if we can make them go away and make it happen, the system operate more efficient. And it's not only that, you have to wait usually at least 2 days for settlement, and then you get these chargebacks that it's a nightmare. So Bitcoin is just going to solve all of those issues. And the best part is it's starting in the smaller businesses first, what you guys are seeing in Costa Rica. It's these small businesses that are getting on board first. So I love that.
Yeah, and they got to taste their first little bullishness, which is interesting, which will change minds like we were talking about.
Well, I think it's going to be insane here in El Salvador when we have the bull cycle really kick in, because all these people now at least know people that can help them onboard them. Or most of them have their own wallets set up.
Seeds
at some
are
point.
so planted.
They have all of this, and so it's because a lot of times that's a hurdle, just the technical aspect of figuring out how do you actually buy Bitcoin. It's confusing. I talked to a lot of smart people in the U.S. and they're just it's not that hard to do. Obviously, they can just go to Swan, and Swan makes it easy. But there's a sense in their mind that but I don't know. I have to do it. Here, they already have it all, so they're just gonna be oh wait, no, pay me in Bitcoin because I think Bitcoin is going up against the dollar, and it's going to be wild. So I think people are way underestimating how big an impact we're going to see in the next couple of years. So if Swan's going to buy a house down here, they better buy it soon, because I think it's.
I know. Well, already, I mean, I was speaking to some of the property owners here who bought like 2 years ago, and they're like, really glad I did that. Because apparently, I heard that El Zonte is one of the most expensive parts of the country now.
It's probably the most expensive part of the country, I would guess. El Zonte.
It's like the Malibu.
Yeah.
I mean,
it has obviously all the natural beauty, all the good waves, but on top of that, because it was the center of Bitcoin Beach and everything here, the Bitcoiners all want to be here. So you have, and with the Bitcoin story, there was all this press coverage, 60 Minutes and Bloomberg, but even the FUD articles had beautiful pictures of the beaches. Oh, yeah. So like everybody, maybe they're even not Bitcoiners, but they saw El Zonte because of a Bitcoin related story and wanted to come there. So it's become like the hot spot.
What do you say to the people that are like, oh, John's like, yeah, it's the most expensive place. And then what do you say to the people that are all, wow, gentrification?
I think I think we should acknowledge that there are downsides with development, but one of the things in El Zonte is most of the prime properties was never owned by locals. There was always vacation homes. So it's not like foreigners are coming in and replacing locals. It's foreigners are buying homes from wealthy Salvadorans from the capital city. So I don't feel too bad about that. But we have, like us as a project, wanted to make sure that the locals don't get pushed out, that they benefit from the growth here. And so we've partnered with New Stories, a housing nonprofit, and we did the first was like a pilot of 8 homes, and that the locals could, we think it's important that people pay some, because when you get something for free, you don't value it. So the idea is to do something at cost. It winds up being actually below cost, but with interest free, and extend mortgages to the people here and allow them to pay in Bitcoin. So there's we did the first 8 homes, and then there's another 122 homes going in right now, and they will actually be paying, I think it winds up being like $50 equivalent a month in Bitcoin for 12 years, but they own houses in El Zonte with deeds, titles. They're building equity from the get-go. And so that's been important to us to make sure, hey, as development comes in, let's make sure the locals are the ones that are benefiting.
Yeah, that's great. And
it's the first, I think, widespread Bitcoin mortgage payment system. And it was done not because, this will, look cool if we're doing it on Bitcoin. It was actually functional. Yeah. It was, the News Story had said that in the past, when they were trying to have these long-term mortgages, they actually had to have somebody full-time in the community for 12 years just collecting these small payments. And so it was a huge amount of overhead just to do the payment collection, because none of the people are banked. And most of them don't have cars, so the only way to really collect was to have somebody actually in the community doing it. Now, all these people can just zap it right from their wallet as a lightning payment. Obviously, we don't denominate the mortgage in Bitcoin because we don't want them to be punished when that goes on a run. So it's denominated in dollars, but then they send the equivalent in sats at the time of payment. And so they have a record, they can show that they made the payment, and so it works super smooth.
Cool.
So yeah. That's I think we should always be aware of anytime there's change that comes, that there's going to be good and bad aspects, but we want to make sure that the locals would benefit the most from and just the local businesses that are being created, the jobs that are paying significantly more than they have in the past. And I mean, sure, I'm too fat and old now to catch waves because there's all these new surfers coming in, get it. But other than that, I think it's hasn't changed too much. As far as the sense of community feel here.
Nice. I got to know. Have you caught a wave from Punta Roca all the way to the pier?
You know what? I have
Does that actually
never surfed Punta Roca.
No way.
Never.
What?
Why? Just because too many people?
I've been like a few times,
Mm-hmm.
and every time I've been there, it was been blown out. But it's, you know, you get
way.
older, you get lazy, and there's good waves out front, and so
that's good.
to not have to get in the car and go anywhere. Punta Mongo is my favorite wave. So and we have a place down there. So I surf Punta Mongo quite a bit. But
I'd
Fair
like
enough.
to explore one
yeah,
day.
yeah. But it is embarrassing that I haven't surfed Punta Roca because it is definitely a world class wave. My son has surfed it,
Of course.
but yeah, I'll have to go out there next time you guys go.
We'll be back. Swan House.
There's some
round two.
footage of Paul ripping on a.
Oh, you too.
couple-
Yeah, we brought our
At Punta
GoPros.
Roca?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Oh, nice.
our
Glad to see
GoPros,
it.
so it's like POV footage, just charging these rides.
How big was it?
fun.
It was decent. Like 6 foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you
Definitely
surfed?
overhead.
Have you surfed Punta Mongo?
I have, but I didn't score it.
Okay. Yeah.
I've seen a little.
it can be
I don't know if we
fickle.
want to talk about it.
It's well, it's kind of out of the bag at this point. So yeah, but when it's firing, it is. But it's.
I know it's a little
It
hollow,
doesn't
too.
handle a super big crowd.
Yeah.
When it gets crowded, it's not so much fun.
Yeah, man, it's just
Right.
so abundant. Wrightsville, man, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Too bad you're goofy, but you don't seem to care.
No way. I'm in the land of rights, and I've been like loving it. Just working on my backside turns, bottom turns, but. I mean, we're blowing all the secrets, but there happens to be a really good left here in Zonte that
Yeah.
Andy and I pretty
see why
much
you
have
settled.
surfed every morning since.
Well, it's funny
I've
because
been
I'm
here.
regular foot, but the left's usually what I surf when I go
Yeah.
out because it's right in front of my house and it's
Yeah, I love it.
and it's
so much fun.
it's like I think the left, especially on that peak, the left's better. It's more. I mean, it's just fast down the line.
Racy,
and,
yeah.
it's super fun.
Yeah, when I first came down here, I swore to myself I wouldn't go left, but I ended up going left on that wave.
Okay, there you go.
When it's really big, that right's fun, especially if you take it all the way out from the reef and it connects all the way through
No
to
way.
the point, almost to this place, and so you can catch it all the way.
Blake
through.
said, our other buddy Blake, who's down here, he said he caught one today that up at the point in the river or
Uh-huh.
at the river mouth and rode it all the way into the bay.
Yeah,
what he
yeah,
said.
you can get those. Would they have a name for that? What do they call it, man?
It's called a Royale.
The Royale.
The Royale.
Yeah.
And if you get a cover up, it's a Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
Yeah.
I like
Con queso. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I was surprised too. There's like good barrel section on the right. Like,
Yeah. When it gets over a certain size, it doesn't it gets
Right. Yeah.
it can even look like decent, but there's so much water moving around that I think didn't you break your board last time you went out, or was
Yeah, I
that
folded it in like
like
four
three
spots.
So did he.
places, right?
Yeah, I broke mine
Yeah.
the other day too.
However, a nice Bitcoiner brought me a new one.
Nice.
And I had this exchange. He was in North Carolina, and because of Bitcoin, he's like, "Oh, I'll do this for you." And
Oh, that's
wow,
sweet.
great community. So I'm stoked about that.
Yeah, that I wish we had a picture of your board to put up here, but Seb showed me it was like in 4 places that it broke. I was like,
Seriously?
what in
Yeah.
the world
That's weird.
did you do?
Yeah, I don't know. It was scary.
Never done that.
The inside, especially at low tide, the insides. Just,
You get caught in that
Super thick,
washing
yeah.
machine there, and just you
Yeah,
gotta
hold
you
on
gotta
a little.
paddle one side or the other. If you
Mm-hmm.
you think you can make it out, but every time you're about, another set comes. in.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's ruin your day.
Yeah. Thankfully, have made pretty good friends with the board repair guy here, and it's very reasonably priced. Basically, he charged me $50 just to fix a broken, completely like buckled in.
It wasn't
board.
too heavy afterwards.
Payments
It's
off.
got a little more heft,
little
but
heft.
it's all right. I'll be able to power through the section better with that.
So, are you gonna make El Zonte home, or what do we need to do to make this a permanent Swan House down here?
That's a good question. I think that's what I think big picture, what you were kind of describing with the way how you your contribution to the community here was what initially made people open to the idea of Bitcoin, right? It wasn't like laying out the logical presuppositions for.
I wasn't talking about mining, the mining process.
Yeah, like hard money, and,
Yeah.
you know, this kind of stuff. So I think with what we're able to do as a Bitcoin community, it's very unique. We have this tremendous network of relationships, like we just mentioned, the community, and you can call that the social layer of Bitcoin, right? Where it's we as people who are using the Bitcoin network and rely on it for storing our wealth, we're also connecting with each other because what do you use money for? You buy goods and services from other people, right? So like the more we're able to connect and deepen those relationships within our community, and it's not going to happen with everyone. Like, definitely not friends with all Bitcoiners, that's for sure. But you know, we have these, like, you have your tribe within the greater community, and I think what Corey sees and what Swan is trying to do in general is like really contribute. That's pretty much what their marketing campaign has been up until this point, or our marketing has been, is to contribute to the community, contribute really good, high quality Bitcoin education. But like, as we've pointed out, the education points, as logical and as truthful as they might be, they're not always the most attractive things to push someone over the edge in terms of like actually coming to use Bitcoin and see its importance. So all to say, I think that cultivating strong Bitcoin communities and contributing to grassroots circular Bitcoin adoption operations like Bitcoin Beach and Berlin and Bitcoin Jungle and so many others that are popping up throughout the world, that has tremendous power. Also just regular meetups all around the world that are popping up. That's been a huge passion of mine, just to like help curate events and help people get together. Because
it's amazing how much people appreciate and love that. Like when Chimera came to me, it's like, hey, we need to do monthly meetups here. I was like,
right.
We can maybe do one, but then people will probably like be, tired of it. But no, It's like every month it gets bigger and more people show up, and it's
Palo Verde was like packed.
Oh yeah, I think we were past capacity there. If we were in the U.S., the fire marshal would have shut us down.
Right?
So
yeah, it was awesome. And that's what. When you're in a group like that, it's electric. If someone's new, they're like, "What are all these people interested? What is going on here?
Why are they all so happy and excited? And
what is this magic weird internet money?
Yeah.
Like cult members or something like that?"
Yeah, when I was a closeted, like, pretty much maxi for like a couple of years, and never, I say closeted because I never sought out one Bitcoin meetup or anybody like-minded. And just so my first time I did that was when I drove through here from California and I timed it perfectly on purpose with the first Bitcoin conference. And then just being out there surfing, I finally got to meet some Bitcoiners. I was kind of nervous. But then they gave me a free tomahawk. I was like, oh, wow, I listened to this guy for podcasts for years. And I could just go walk up to him and talk to him and ask him my questions. It's like, wait, what? Such a cool community. So if you're out there and you haven't sought out like-minded people, send it. It's a great decision. Changed my life.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's what is, I mean, we can go on and on about all these benefits of being connected to the Bitcoin community.
Yeah.
But one of them is the fact that like we are trying to lift each other up. Like the more eyeballs that Paul has on his Instagram, TikTok, like the more influence he has to share about Bitcoin to other people and or just to be an example to others, and as like someone living a free life and a beautiful, quality, healthy lifestyle that's empowered by Bitcoin. And it's like, what is we're not really with Bitcoin. We're not selling like money. People use money. We're selling freedom, right? And then it's up to people what they want that to create their life to look like with all of that freedom. So that's
so your job is basically you just get to go set up these fun.
He's been trying to figure out your job.
yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how
Everyone's
to get
trying
it.
to figure out my job.
Fun guy.
I'm trying to figure out how to get you fired and steal your job from you.
I'm a people person, right? I help people now.
It's like I come
like
here,
office.
I hang out at the Swan House. No, I know enough to know that that's the 5% we see. It's the other 95% that deals with all the problems that make it all happen. So
Yeah, it's a labor of love, but
Yeah.
that's it's an absolute pleasure for me to combine like my passion for bringing people together, plus Bitcoin and surfing, and for the past like couple months, that's been very special, and especially surfing swans. That was pretty fun too.
Well, we were super thankful for you guys for sponsoring the events. After adopting Bitcoin, we always have like a Bitcoin week here. So you
Right.
sponsored the meetup, you sponsored the swim race, and all the other activities that we had. I don't know. Do we have any pictures of the Swan surf?
I think it's in this one. I'll roll this.
Yeah, so this was
the swim event.
right.
Those guys,
These-
how do you swim
They
5K,
swam
man?
5 kilometers,
Some 3K.
kilometers.
I know, it's insane.
And then while they were swimming, we did the hard work of pumping up the swans to go for a competition. So we separated into groups. We had a few different key metrics. There's the size of the wave,
Number of
style
people on the
points,
wave.
number of people on the
Yeah.
wave. Like
That's why
so
we
that-
got the dub there.
yeah. that
I
was
mean,
the
we were
winning
not blessed
wave.
with big waves like we are right
Well,
now.
the year
event.
before the waves were huge.
Seriously?
They would have been just
Oh, that would have been epic,
annihilated
man. I would have been
this thing.
so down.
The year before we had like for the swim race, there was like 3 people that had to get rescued like as they
Wow.
were trying to go out in the lineup. They got smashed into the
Yikes.
rocks.
I think
and,
even that day, a boat got flipped over and,
Oh, yeah?
and it was like struggling out there. The engine got
Oh, really?
but yeah.
Yeah, it can. There's a lot of water that's moving out there. So I was glad that it was smaller because when it's that big and you got all those swimmers out there, I'm always just like,
Yeah.
everybody makes it back, and
Everybody wants to come and learn how to surf too. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
hope it's smaller.
So, but I'm bummed that I missed the Swan surf contest. So next year,
Yeah, it was a
Quality
big
shenanigans.
hit.
Yeah.
We had some local kiddos joining in too. It was great. Team UU.
Yeah.
well, if it's big next year, we'll have to do toe in on those swans. We'll have them towed
So
into
down. We got to beat those
gotta-
things up though.
yeah.
We got to call up Joe B and figure out how he does it.
I happen to know the owner of the company who makes those swans. We can
Tom
Shout
needs
out
to
to-
make the
right.
a
We got to
little
make a
extra,
special like towable,
Yeah.
surfable swans.
Swans
It can happen.
little extra thickness on.
We actually
the
do
plastic.
have a 15-foot tall swan. That
would
might
be
be
epic.
interesting to do.
That would be epic.
He did
We'll
just on a
see.
Bitcoin B too. That'd be a nice little attention grab
Yeah.
for normies.
Mm-hmm.
Just do a little toe in on an 8-foot day on one of those.
Right. Right.
Sign me up.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I was like, that's. So I don't know. This is just an example of how like just having fun, like having a good time, going to the beach and goofing off with your friends. For some reason, that activity in and of itself can like help promote Bitcoin adoption. How beautiful is
100%.
that, right?
Yeah. No, people are like, wow, I want whatever they're having. I want that. So, being here in El Salvador, do you have any sense of like, maybe I should move here instead of Costa Rica? Or do you feel pretty much like Costa Rica is where it's at for you?
If Costa Rica does something crazy, or like, because now we know this is freedom country.
Yeah.
We're kind of in gray area in Costa Rica. So if they cross some line or something, I'm out to El Salvador. I'm back. We'll see.
All right. Well,
Bullish
I
on
mean,
both.
you know,
Bullish on all of them.
we're excited about what's happening in Costa Rica, so we don't
Yeah.
want to poach you. But,
Right.
so, and I don't need another good surfer here. In
Right.
Come visit once in a while.
yeah. So, is there anything we haven't talked about that we need to did we miss anything? Other than what an amazing job and how hard you're working here.
Oh, yeah.
Corey's listening.
Well, I just wanted to say, another shout out to the Bitcoin Freedom Festival. I'm really looking forward to attending that. It's going to be amazing.
What are the dates
you
again?
guys
Yeah, so it's
come.
January 18th through the 20th.
Okay.
It's going to be at maybe a little minor citadel, if you want to call it that. A guy, a Bitcoiner, awesome guy. Hope if you go get to listen to him speak, it's like the topic we nerd out about the most, like the philosophy and like spirituality of Bitcoin. This guy's great. Listen to him speak. And if you scroll down there, it's going to be more than just a normal Bitcoin event. It's very kid friendly. We're going to go to the market and drop sats around for like great organic food. The food down there, the fruit's unbelievable. We'll go to the beach. It's like a holistic treatments hub, plant medicine. It might get weird out there. And we'll just have a good time. So yeah, come cruise through January 18th to the 20th. Load up your Lightning wallets, and you really don't have to spend with the SynPay off-ramp. You really don't need fiat that often.
No, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'm speaking. So
Sweet.
I'll
Great.
be my first time in Costa Rica. It's weird. It's the
Wow.
only place
Good.
in Central
So
America
close.
I haven't been.
Wow.
I've been to almost everywhere in South America and Central America, but Costa Rica, I don't know. It just never.
Well, it's called you finally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a vortex down there. I wonder if any of y'all that come will stay.
So people can buy their tickets with Bitcoin
Yeah,
from the
of course.
website.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very reasonably priced too.
Make sure you get your tickets.
There's a ferry that goes from El Salvador to Costa Rica.
Seriously?
Really?
No.
Yeah, leaves La Union.
Huh?
It
Where
just-
does it drop
it
you off?
just-
Taco or?
Punta Arenas.
Oh, not bad.
It just recently launched. Are they doing people yet? Because originally it was just cargo.
People in their cars.
Really?
Okay, you can. Okay, so
That's cool.
That's
so,
fascinating.
So
So
you
if I
go
do
to
gotta get
Freedom
out of
Fest,
there-
and then
Yeah,
you
there
can
you go.
take the ferry to El Salvador
jump the ferry.
afterwards.
Yeah.
And then, have you guys announced the dates for Pacific Bitcoin for next year yet?
I think we're locking them out. We're locking them down, but it's going to be, I think, early November
Okay,
next.
similar
next year.
to,
Yep.
to this year.
Yeah, similar time of year, fall.
Just make sure it
In
doesn't
LA.
overlap with adopting Bitcoin. 'Cause-
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're working out. Make sure it's.
There's so many dang
obviously not-
conferences now.
yeah.
Yeah.
We just went on a world tour. We started in Pacific Bitcoin, went to Bali for Bitcoin Indonesia. Then we went
Did you go to Bali?
Yeah. Then we went to Nostarasia and then came back here for adopting. So good excuse
Yeah.
to get away from the peak rainy season in
Yeah,
Costa Rica.
yeah.
You don't want to be there for that. But yeah.
Yeah, we went a couple weeks ago. I was in Lugano for the Plan B
Oh, nice.
conference, and it was amazing. I didn't expect it to be so like legit Bitcoin,
Yeah.
like only focused. So it was
Love to
a
see
great
it.
conference.
That's great.
Yeah, and Lugano, they've started like this the startings of a circular Bitcoin economy. I mean, they have all these stores now that are accepting Bitcoin, and it was amazing to see, and it was funny because you see some of the same problems that we've had here. I bought something one day from the store, and it like the owner was there, and it worked fine. The next day I went, and they're like, "No, we're not ready yet." I'm like, "I just bought something yesterday." Bitcoin. He's like, "Yeah, but that was the owner, and I don't know how to use it." So there's the same kind of teething pains, but
Yeah.
once they get it just works better than anything else.
Right.
So was this Pacific Bitcoin? what are we looking at here?
This is a promo video. I had my friend Jordan, Jay Willia on Twitter. Shout out to Jordan. He's an amazing guy. Really great surfer too. He's a Virginia boy out shooting on the East Coast. And he joined us for the entire week. We hosted a proof of work workout, first before any of the events, where we did surfing, did a beach workout. Paul led the surfing, and then we had a mining industry day, and it's just going through a lot of the highlights.
Okay.
VIP party at the bungalow, you know, it's basically I think the best way to describe it is just a big party, it's a festival in and of itself.
Well, that's where I met Paul,
Right.
out on the basketball court afterwards.
I love having something to do, man. I was dying in like a couple of those conferences. Like, it's good to go wiggle and run around.
Exactly.
And
There's only like how many Bitcoin talks can you really listen to, right? Sometimes, for me personally, the most valuable experience of these events is like connecting with other people, expanding your network. But then, to me, as a man, especially, the way that you connect with other guys, with other people in general, is usually by doing things, by like doing activities together. Like if you're sitting down, like having coffee, okay, what's next? So we tried to incorporate, getting out there on the beach, doing surfing, working out, doing some yoga. And then hopefully we're definitely going to do more of that next year. Maybe do a Kelly Slater wave pool.
Yes.
Expedition.
Yo.
Bull market.
It's out there now.
Yes.
It's out there now.
We're materializing this as we speak, right?
It's gotta happen now. We said it on the podcast. So.
Yep. Declared it. Yeah, so it's an amazing event. Obviously I'm working for Swan, so shilling it, but it's kind of a big part of what I work on as well with the events team.
Well,
and Kristen, who's the head honcho at events.
It's a great size because you guys had a lot of just dynamic speakers, but it wasn't like so big that you're like lost, and it just felt like, I don't know, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and you're shooting hoops. And,
Yeah.
You know,
Plus, like you're saying, I think I actually wind up going back and watching a lot of the things online afterwards because you're there and you get in these conversations and you're like, oh, I'll just watch it online because you're just meeting so many interesting people and building these relationships. And so it seems like a lot of times like the conference is just an excuse to get everybody together.
100%.
It's something to hang. You need a frame to hang things on, but then you spend most of your time just out in the hallways chatting.
100%.
But that's why I love El Salvador, especially El Zonte. That's what it feels like all the time. You're like this. I always tell people it's like a nonstop Bitcoin conference hallway. You're just like walking down the street and like, wait, hey, I know you. Like, wait, do we know in real life or just Twitter?
That's always fun.
Yeah.
Are you one of those cartoon characters I follow on Twitter?
So, well, I want to make sure people know where they can follow you guys. I'm assuming you're on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow. Yeah, that's Paul.
There's me, Paul Keating.
Paul.
And then Paul in the Jungle on all of the other platforms. Yeah, I'll show you guys a little
Wait,
insight.
so are you on TikTok?
Oh yeah, you got to orange pill the normie somehow.
Yeah.
I'm on TikTok and I'm on Nostr. I don't know how many people can say the same thing.
I'll have to have my kids show me how to get on TikTok so I can watch your TikTok.
Oh boy.
videos.
Yeah, I had to delete my TikTok, so I don't have a screenshot of your TikTok, unfortunately. But
Cool.
And then Jon.
And then, that's my Twitter. Connect with me there. If you're also on Instagram, I'm there as well. I think just sharing images, like aspirational content, I guess, is kind of my goal there, just to feature the freedom that Bitcoin can offer.
Nice.
And everybody watching this, make sure you message Corey and tell him that we need to do the Slater surf
Let's
day.
make it happen.
So again, bigger and better.
Throw down the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got a lot of good reviews coming.
Yes.
A lot of happy customers. So
Well, I'm stoked to see the Swan House here and how much excitement it's brought, and just the way it's brought all these people. Like I said, every time I was doing a podcast, I pick me up at the Swan House, pick me up at the Swan House. So it's fun seeing that kind of bring together in the community. So I'm hoping this becomes, if not a permanent thing, at least a yearly thing that you guys.
Great idea,
absolutely.
dude.
Great idea. Yes. Yeah. I like the materialization, manifesting capabilities of your podcast here.
Yes, we're making it happen. And I guess I'll see you guys in January.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
In Costa Rica. You'll have to show me, make sure I see the things I need to see when I'm there. So
Yes.
it's the first time. How
Gotcha.
far from the airport is
It is an absolute mission. Sorry, everybody. Good luck.
No, I've heard that about
It
Costa
sucks.
Rica. Like
Yeah.
it's
horrible.
it's like
The roads are fine, but it's just horrible.
It's just a long
Yeah.
ways to get anywhere. So
Yeah.
Can't sugarcoat that one.
It's worth it though. Once you get to the beach, you're like,
Yes.
all right. And the people, like,
yeah.
super cool. I just love Costa Rica. It's such a
It's bitching.
good energy.
No,
you
I'm
goofy foot, by
excited.
the way?
No, I'm regular.
Regular.
Yeah. I'm excited to I've heard just amazing things about Costa Rica, but it's just I don't know why. I just never made it. Waiting for this.
Yes, perfect.
All right,
Yeah.
well, I'll let you guys get back out there so maybe get an evening session before the sun goes down.
Yeah. We'll try. Maybe body surf. We can snack some boards.
Cool.
Thanks so
Mike.
much for having us, Mike. It's
Yeah,
been awesome.
thank you.
And thanks to our sponsor, Solitaire.
Right?
Yeah, we got to manifest that too.